There are only 9 states in the entire United States where your spouse automatically owns half of what you acquire during your marriage. Luckily for you, or unluckily for you, Arizona is one of those states. Because Arizona is a community property state, meaning any property that you acquire during your marriage is half yours, half your spouse's, with very few exceptions. Community property means your property that was acquired during the marriage is supposed to be divided equitably. And equitably in Arizona is used to say as close to equally as we possibly can. So any property or debt acquired during the marriage is going to be considered community, meaning we're going to equally divide it. That's how asset and debt division typically, from a big picture standpoint, works in Arizona. There are a few exceptions to the Arizona community property rules. Some of those exceptions include things like inheritances, gifts that you receive during the marriage, or real property. Those items do not automatically fall under the premise of community property and are generally deemed exceptions to those rules. Of course, there are things that you could do though throughout the coverture of the marriage to, for instance, commingle those sole and separate assets and make them your community property. Arizona courts typically want to divide your property equally. There are very few rare circumstances where the court will actually deviate from that. Some of those instances are things like marital waste. So if one party is abnormally, excessively using marital money and they're wasting it, they're not using it for the benefit of the community, Arizona can actually take that and say, because you did that, we're going to essentially punish you. We're going to deem it marital waste. We're going to give the other half of the community a larger portion of that waste. Another instance where we see the courts unequally divide assets and debts is if you're recklessly borrowing or recklessly taking out debts, taking out personal loans that perhaps the other side didn't know about, or racking up excessive amounts of credit card debt. And again, this is typically an instance when that credit card debt doesn't relate to benefiting the community, the marital community. In those instances, as well as some other rare incidents, the court may divide property or debt unequally at the time of the divorce. You don't actually need a judge to divide your property in an Arizona divorce. Instead, parties have the ability to work together to try to come to an agreement and actually divide their property between the two of them. This can be done through a lot of different processes in Arizona, things like mediation or other avenues that the court may have available to parties so that the parties can actually sit down, work through their issues together, and try to come to agreements. Of course, if you're unable to do so, the judge will make that ultimate decision, but it's always in parties' best interest to try to resolve asset and debt division between themselves.